Sponsored by TORRAS. This might be a weird thing to say about the world's preeminent Android manufacturer, but Samsung is in kind of a tough spot. Think about it. It needs to compete with Apple, the most successful example of vertical integration in tech, with a family of phones that Samsung only partially controls. Android belongs to Google, and no matter how much effort Samsung expends on software, it's not really a software company. Which is why it wisely relies so heavily on Gemini for so many of its headlining features. Its latest flagship is the ultimate reflection of this reality. A smartphone whose biggest splash is a display you can't find anywhere else. And AI features you mostly can. I'm Mr. Mobile, and I've spent 10 days with the Galaxy S26 Ultra. Sadly, 10 days was not enough to test task automation, the feature that lets Gemini call an Uber or fetch some DoorDash on your behalf. Yeah, I tried it in my hands-on video from SF, but at the time, we didn't know that it wouldn't go live until March 11th. And when it does, Google's Pixel phones will have it at the same time or soon after. So this isn't really a Galaxy feature. But I'm excited for it because it's one of those rare implementations of AI that seems like it could actually be useful. The rest of the stuff Samsung's leaning on to sell this notion of an AI phone, it's pretty weak. Take the Now suite. I thought it was promising when it was introduced on the S25, this little capsule that lives on your screen and serves up useful information when it matters, which you can tap to open up a Now brief with more context. Cool. But the reality has been this. An omnipresent widget boldly reminding me that, the day rolls on. Seriously, if you go back and look at all my Samsung videos from 2025, you can watch me wait for the Now bar to become useful for an entire year. But no, aside from some recent flashes of potential, it's been a total waste of space. And tapping into the Now brief doesn't offer much more. Weather, calendar, news story that doesn't matter to me, Spotify playlist I don't want, YouTube video from my subscriptions. I mean, this is supposed to be a feed of AI-curated insights. So why does it feel like a worse version of Google Now from 2012? Oh, and there's a new Now thing now called Now Nudge, which again is something that's supposed to think ahead of you and surface relevant information or suggestions based on what's on your screen, except it's built into Samsung Keyboard, which means you need to use that inferior input method, and it doesn't seem to be turned on yet in our review units anyway. The relentless harping on all this AI shovelware is a real shame because it detracts from the larger truth. While there is no such thing as a great AI phone, the S26 Ultra is a great smartphone. It's spec-stacked and performant, loaded with silicon that isn't just overclocked this time around, but apparently customized across NPU, ISP, GPU, TRS, ICU, STS, NCC, and DDO-JS IOC to deliver the best possible performance you can get from a Qualcomm chip.
The JG-JoJo-C? What is that?
Sorry, I like acronyms. Samsung has also again redone thermal management to keep it cool with a redesigned vapor chamber. I feel like they do this every year. And in the process, it's kept the S Pen in place. Still stripped of its fancy wireless features, but at least it hasn't been completely removed. And then there's the most interesting hardware on the whole thing. At first I thought the new privacy display was kind of like the Galaxy Trifold, more showcase than viable product. But then, as with the Trifold, I kept using it. Look, say what you will, but I'm one of those people who sometimes has to do mobile banking in public. Or I need to approve video edits featuring embargoed materials. Or, hey, maybe I just don't want people next to me seeing my notifications. At the same time, I've never wanted to permanently compromise my viewing angles with a stick-on privacy protector. But now that I can do that temporarily, I don't ever want to go back. And a big part of that is how smart it is. You know, I'm not manually toggling it every time I want to use it. I've set certain apps to automatically trigger privacy display, and the screen reverts back to normal when I close them. And I've set all notifications to be private by default, with the screen only blanking out the text bubbles from onlookers. Of course, it's not perfect. You do need to toggle maximum privacy mode to really get, well, maximum privacy, which does sort of afflict everything with a gray pallor. But again, that's why you can turn it off. I haven't noticed any permanent penalty in viewing angles or brightness. You know, in my view, this is just a genuinely handy option for those who need it, and it completely disappears into the background for those who don't. I wish all new features were like this. Adding more capabilities to the S26 Ultra is as easy as adding a case, like the O-Stand Q3 Veg Skin from TORRAS, which includes this clever contraption. It's a 360-degree O-stand that rotates across 2 axes, which means it can stand the phone up at almost any angle. It's got you covered for selfie shooting while sightseeing, second screening on a workday, or just letting a YouTube video like this one wash over you. When you're done, fold it back into the soft veg skin surface, and the O-stand becomes a magnetic ring that sticks to everything from a refrigerator to a recharger, like the TORRAS Polar Circle, with 25-watt charging, industry-first thermoelectric cooling, and yes, it has its own stand, too. Nice. Finally, what about the front of the phone? Well, that's also covered by an Origami screen protector that feels like no protector at all. That's because it's specially designed to preserve the anti-glare properties of the phone's naked display, which makes it almost 5 times less reflective than typical screen protectors. All of these are available at the link in the description. Thanks to TORRAS for sponsoring this video. Now, I dumped on Samsung software in the intro, so it's only fair that I call out one feature that's just incredible: audio eraser. And no, it does have the same name as the noise cancellation when you're recording video thing, but that's not this. You know those very frustrating shows whose characters you can't hear because their voices are buried beneath a bed of ambient sound or music in the scene? Well, if you're watching on your 26 Ultra, you can hit the toggle in the notification shade, and audio eraser will suppress the background noise while enhancing the vocals, so you can hear them again. I've tried it on YouTube, Netflix, and Paramount Plus, and it does a very nice job, especially considering it's doing this on the fly, and especially when paired with the new Galaxy Buds 4 Pro, which I'll touch on toward the end. Well done, Samsung, truly. Same deal with the Horizon Lock feature. Now, as I mentioned in my hands-on, this is something we've seen before. It needs a lot of light to work and doesn't give you full resolution, so it's not something you're going to use every time you shoot. But when you're on a bumpy road or rough seas or a rocky platform of any kind, any additional stabilization is great to have in your pocket. And since we're here already, let's talk cameras. While the only thing that looks new about the optical array is the plinth upon which the lenses sit, we've actually got meaningful improvements here, with bigger apertures on the main and 5x telephoto cameras allowing more light to hit the same sensors underneath. Now, the Ultra cameras are always quite capable. The added zoom ability has made them my favorite Samsungs to shoot with, and the photos and videos from the 26 are quite familiar. A lot of you asked me about this. It does look like the zoom transitions in video have been smoothed out a bit. You can still see the lens shift more than you notice it on the iPhone, but it's definitely improved. The iPhone 17 Pro is the phone that 26 Ultra is going up against, so I shot more side-by-sides than I normally would. And I gotta say that while I occasionally preferred Samsung's shots, mostly at the higher zoom levels, by and large, I think Apple takes the crown here. Colors are more true to life, there's more fine detail in the night shots, and crucially, the iPhone selfie shooter doesn't make me look nearly as old. Oh, Samsung specifically called out the improved noise reduction in night video mode as well. Here's how that stacks up against the same iPhone. Now, if you're underwhelmed by any of this, there's good news. You can fix all the camera's shortcomings with Photo Assist. Let's see here. Put a guitar in her hands like she's playing. This should be fun. Let's see what AI comes up with. Oh. Yeah, this is why I got so annoyed when a whole room full of people were clapping for this crap on stage. This doesn't need to exist. Please, stop. with the slop. Okay, let's talk brass tacks, or graphite anodes, I guess. The battery capacity is the same as it's been for the past, good lord, 6 years? So it's no wonder I'm not getting the world's greatest endurance out of this thing. I've managed to get a day out of it every day, which is fine, but would someone cue the OnePlus 15 stock footage, please? I can't kill this phone. The OnePlus 15 is the end of battery anxiety as we know it. Oh, and there's no MagSafe. But you know what? All of that is almost forgivable in light of the fact that Samsung has finally given us a fast-charging phone. Tossing it onto a charger capable of kicking out the 60 watts the Ultra can accept, it went from dead to 45% in 15 minutes, 80% in a half an hour, and it was basically full at 45 minutes. Even the lower power 45-watt charger I carry in my bag got it to 30% in 15 minutes. That's plenty fast for most folks, and wireless charging is faster too. Now, Samsung, silicon carbon next, please. Oh, I promised to tell you about my new buds. I had very strong opinions about the predecessor's derivative design and strong praise for their outstanding performance on phone calls. Well, this year, Samsung did, in my opinion, exactly what it should have. It ditched the AirPods-like design while retaining the great noise cancellation and microphone performance. I love wearing these, I love listening on these, I love talking on these. Now, the design is a little more understated than I'd prefer, but it's still a win because it's Samsung doing its own thing instead of aping someone else's. Let's begin to wrap up with some competitive context. As you may have seen, I reviewed a Google Pixel immediately before this phone, and the juxtaposition really shines a bright light on the type of customer each company is going after. With the Ultra, Samsung is catering to the kind of smartphone musclehead who cares about raw horsepower and the chipset, crazy camera capability, all that. Meanwhile, the Pixel sets itself apart through attention to small details, like the haptics that make it feel alive with every interaction, a life that's almost totally missing from the more sterile slab of glass that is the Galaxy. If I'm listening to music while trying to shoot video, the Samsung interrupts that audio, while the Pixel does not. Also in the camera, Samsung will reset the framing I've selected if I switch between photo and video. The Pixel does not. Little stuff like that. I mean, I took out the Ultra to take a shot this week, and it was still holding on to a 10-second timer that I had set like the day before. How does that make any sense? And in a world where you can get the bulk of the Pixel experience for $500 versus the Ultra's $1,300, well, it can be tough to find $800 of added value here. Unless you're a gamer or what we used to call a power user. Personally, if I were going to pay a premium for a Galaxy, I'd put myself into a fold or flip because of how much more fun and useful a foldable can be. But that's me. There's no doubt that there's a big market for a maxed-out slab, and it's laudable that Samsung didn't raise the price this year, despite rising component costs and market volatility. Oh, and it actually managed to make the phone lighter and thinner, too. That's impressive. It's not the slam dunk of years past, and its hardware is worlds more impressive than whatever AI narrative is being foisted upon it. But if you're upgrading from an S22 or older, and you prefer your phone unhinged, the 26 Ultra will definitely get the job done. And then some. This review was produced following 10 days with the Galaxy S26 Ultra review sample from Samsung, which also provided travel and accommodation for Mr. Mobile to attend the Unpacked launch event in San Francisco. But the company had no copy approval rights, editorial input, or even an early preview of this video. They're seeing it for the first time right alongside you. Check out my coverage of that Pixel 10a, featuring a field trip to the Google Labs in Taiwan, and subscribe to Mr. Mobile so you don't miss the next smartphone review. I think I have 6 in the queue right now. Busy season. Until next time, from Michael Fisher, Captain Two Phones on social, thanks for watching. And stay mobile, my friends.